Hello boys and girls. Hello everyone, welcome back to another little video on Smash today actually. I thought, one of the things I want to talk about recently is something that sort of flagged up a little bit ago. It was a couple weeks back from when I actually noted this video idea down, which was people talking about banning Hero at international tournaments when they come back. So I thought, why don't I go ahead and do this whilst doing Hero's Classic run? Because I know damn well if I play Hero online, I'll get slapped. And I'm not about to embarrass myself like that. So essentially the premise was that people were saying during an international tournament, someone playing as Hero against someone who doesn't speak the native language of the player will be at an advantage. They'll have an advantage state because of this little drop-down menu right here. Now, I don't really think this is a reason to ban a character. And I say this because I want to talk about a few points, actually. The first thing I'd like to say is that it is unfair, in my mind, to put someone at a disadvantage for playing a character. So, if you, for example, I play Snake and Marth in tournaments, right? That's me. That's who I play. So, if suddenly you're banning characters that I play, I'm at a disadvantage now. If I go to a tournament and I'm told that I can't play as Snake, what am I supposed to do? I only have one other character. And I chose Snake because he's one of the ones I had the most fun with. I might actually lose here. Oh. Let's go, dude. So the problem I find is that, first of all, by banning characters for unnecessary reasons, unlike when characters like Meta Knight were banned from Brawl tournaments because they were so vastly overpowered, there was just a massive gap in, ability between someone playing Meta Knight and quite literally anyone who played anyone else was at an advantage. Because Meta Knight controlled the entire sort of tier list, the entire style of gameplay. So that I can understand. Boom! Hero is actually more fun than I give him credit for. But the main problem I find is something I'll talk about now with language, which is that if I go to, for example, a Spanish tournament, right? I get to the point where I go to a tournament in Spain, and I'm expecting that tournament to be played in English. I think that is on me as a person. It's not on the people organising the tournament, it's not on the other players to decide to cater to my needs. Fucking hell, I've never been good at fighting Rapalots, man. I want to accelerate. Why did I not heal? Maybe I can't even get accelerate. Oh no. So the first idea I had was maybe one of the things listed on tournament pages needs to start being the language that the game is played in. Either that, or if it's at a large enough tournament, then perhaps the tournament needs to be played in multiple languages, so there needs to be setups with various different languages. So you have English setups, you have Spanish setups, Japanese setups, whatever, or setups that are allowed to have languages changed on them. But one thing this also tells me is that tier lists are maybe not as important as they're being made out to be. I say that purely because if Hero's placement on the tier list is based on just where his down B menu puts him, then surely he would then just fluctuate on a tier list. This next part might just be me as well as a player, based on the way that I play. When I play against someone playing Hero, most of the time I'm not looking at... I don't really see a situation in which I look at my opponent's menu, because I should be looking at my actual opponent. More so to the fact that if they're, you know, in menu, I'm more concerned about getting them out of that before they're actually able to use it. Oh no. Right, I'm done for here, aren't I? I'm not making it out of here alive. Yeah, dead. Cool. One of potentially the stupidest things I saw someone suggest was that if we ban Hero and boycott the character from tournaments and such, then maybe Nintendo will notice that and change it to symbols instead. And, you know, in a normal circumstance, that might be a fair enough assumption. However, the problem arises in that Nintendo do not competitively support this game. So why would they ever cater towards, you know, competitive players? Why would they ever cater towards such a out there situation as to change, you know, part of their game for people who are playing in a way that Nintendo don't really appreciate? Especially given that Nintendo have never actually supported offline tournaments really, and even the ones that they have made themselves haven't really been to the quote standards that people who actually compete in individual hosted tournaments, they're not the same. So like having items and shit on, probably because that's the way Nintendo wants the game to be played. And fair enough to them. But I wouldn't expect them to change something like that just to cater to such a niche thing. So my ideal proposed solution is that I don't think you can go to a tournament in another country and expect for it to be catered to your language unless specified otherwise. Because let's face it, how the hell did I make that back? Let's face it as well, the only time that you would need to even be concerned with the language is if you're playing in Hero duos, maybe. You know, there's nothing stopping you from asking your opponent to switch the language, and I can understand why they might not do that, because then you're at a disadvantage of actually having to play a character in a language that you don't know yourself. So I can understand that problem as well. This is where I just believe that this is, you know, you've got to expect it. That's like the biggest problem for me. List the language that the tournament will be played in, unless you specify as well having setups in multiple languages. I don't think it warrants banning a character though, personally, because I don't see why you would have to actually go ahead and do something like that, because then you're alienating people who actually chose to play Hero. I mean, I don't doubt that it will make it more difficult for Hero players, but at the same time, I just wouldn't, as a Hero player, go to a tournament in Spain where the gameplay is in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. Dude, what the f- Okay. My intensity, I'm pretty much back to where I started. Get good, kid. So essentially, I feel like banning a character for a language barrier, something outside of the game, is not fair. Let's not forget that it's just a very strange reason for me to say we need to ban Hero, because if someone English goes to Japan and they're playing as a Japanese Hero, then they're at a disadvantage. And you think, alright, cool, but then I'll refer you to tier lists as well. If we prioritise tier lists so much in this community, and about finding out where characters sit on tier lists so that we can make character choices and things like that, well then, that's the similar argument. Someone is at an advantage or a disadvantage based on what character they play. Do we then, you know, extend it to saying if you play a character with such an advantageous state, that your opponent gets some kind of perk for that? I think it's just such a niche situation that I don't really think people will find it happening as frequently as we expect it to. And even so, if I was to go to a Spanish tournament, I'm going to know weeks in advance, right? I say this as, you know, an almost 24-year-old man who would have to plan in advance. I'd have to book the time off work, I'd have to book flights, hotel, whatever. So I would know. And if I'm really that dedicated to Hero, that gives me time to at least familiarise myself with, what is it? How many Lamborghini moves has he got? I think it's 16 or something. That gives me time to familiarise myself with 16 Spanish words, which doesn't seem too difficult. I'm pretty sure I could teach myself 16 Spanish words in the course of like a month, maybe 2 weeks, especially if it's the same ones. Just saying. Obviously, I think it will become a bit more harder with things like Japanese, which isn't letters as recognised traditionally in languages like English and French. So that could be a little bit more difficult, but again, things like time, I feel, you know, like these are just simple, quick thought-up solutions that I feel like potentially could do a little bit more than just banning a character outright and making it so, you know, simple as being like, we don't need to come up with alternatives, we'll just ban the character, and then we'll never have to deal with this problem again. I don't think it's the case. I think it's a problem that will go away, because then, you know, a whole bunch of people who play this character, who've chosen to play this character, are essentially being told, yeah, you can't, you know, join in this thing the same way that everyone else can. You have to go by these rules that we've set. So, I don't know. There's just a few simple solutions. There's definitely a lot more solutions, very much better solutions than the ones I've come up with, but that's, you know, just 15 minutes of thinking done there. I sat on stream and thought these things up, so it makes you wonder what actual time and thought and preparation could come up with solution-wise. So thank you for watching, if you did, and taking my thoughts into consideration, and hopefully I will see you all next time, where I will talk about something else related to another subject. I don't doubt.